I am Sanam Solati Yurczyk with New England Prestige Realty.
And I am Kelly Turner with Total Mortgage.
And we have a question.
What comes first, the chicken or the egg?
How
does this relate to real estate, Sanam?
Well, there's so many moving parts, right? What comes first? The lower interest rate, the house? There's so many things.
Do you start looking at houses first? Do you get pre-approved first?
I don't know. What do we do?
Well, but even now,
we do know what to do.
Yeah, you get pre-approved first before
100%.
you go look at houses.
Absolutely.
That's definitely what you do. But a lot of borrowers do say, well, why are you going to pull my credit before I know if I like this house?
Yes. Or if you pull my credit, it's going to lower my score.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
So that's a great question. Does a hard credit pull lower your score? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have to be honest. It does a little bit. You can, what we generally tell people is unless you have real credit issues, that the amount that it lowers your score in one single month is generally recouped within the next 30 days based on your normal credit activity. So paying your bills on time, all of the normal stuff that's happening.
So doing all that will help actually rebuild it from the time you pull.
From the time you do it. Where people get nervous is there are some transactions that you do. A lot of times it's like auto loans where there's a lot of pulls in a short period of time, and that you will see a score lower. Or Christmas time is a popular one. People will take out a bunch of like store credit cards. Those have a much bigger impact on your credit score than a mortgage pull.
Yeah. What a lot of people don't realize too, like if you pull their credit and they're maybe like below where they need to be to hit a certain rate or to move up to the next category, you have solutions for that.
Yeah. So part of what we do is we do some credit counseling, and I do kind of basic credit counseling. If a borrower is beyond my capabilities, then I work with some amazing experts who we should have on at some point.
Actually, we should have on.
We work with some amazing experts who can give more kind of guided advice for specific situations.
Because there's always a plan.
There's always credit. The biggest thing is credit is fixable.
Yeah.
Credit is always fixable. There is no one who cannot fix their credit. What do you need to fix credit? You usually need money and time.
And a plan.
So as long as we have those things, you can, kind of make it through credit repair. But, why do we want to get pre-approved before we look at houses
it's pretty obvious because you want to make sure you're looking at homes that you can actually afford. But we've talked about this, and I think it's a message that we've been sending over the past few months or so. Work on getting a full-blown mortgage commitment. Mm-hmm. And this way you've fully gone through your underwriting process. You really know what you can and can't afford. So once we actually do find you the perfect place to call home, the seller will know that you're rock solid. But we were talking again, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? And then how do you structure an offer so that it's super aggressive, strong, so that you can hopefully get your offer accepted. But there's also a trade-off while protecting yourself too.
And that's probably the question that we both get asked a lot. And it's funny because Sanam and I are two parts of the same transaction, but with slightly different interests in the transaction. So if somebody says to me, what can I do to make sure that I have a strong offer? And they ask Sanam, what can they do to have a strong offer? We may have some slightly different ideas, but they all have to come into play. And what's the real message of it, right? What is a strong offer?
Put yourself in the seller's shoe, right? A strong offer from a seller's perspective is, I know I'm going to get my money. I know there's no red tape. I know that I don't have to lift a finger to make anything happen. We're just going to get there. So one of the pieces is if you're not a cash buyer,
you need a mortgage.
You need a mortgage. And rather than just, again, getting that pre-approval, having a full-blown commitment gives that seller that reassurance, that peace of mind, that less red tape, right?
Yeah.
Less that they need to worry about. What we're coming across a lot is this whole inspection contingency being waived or not. And I think I've made my position pretty clear over the months. I'm not really a big fan of waiving inspections. And, from my buyer standpoint, we have that conversation. What's your level of tolerance? If they're contractors and or possibly if it's a condo, depending on the circumstances, I'm maybe comfortable with it. But, we just had a set of buyers last week where they were buying a house that on the surface looked pretty incredible. And they were going to pay a premium for it. They were very comfortable with it. And then what did I tell you happened?
Yeah, it was major inspection items, major red flag inspection items. And
health and safety issues that there was no immediate solution or resolution to it, which scared my buyers.
And a lot of people get an inspection and appraisal confused.
Yes.
And they think that, okay, if I'm not getting an inspection, I'm getting an appraisal.
Yeah.
So it's fine. Someone is going to look at the house. FHA and VA borrowers are slightly different, where an appraisal for those is looking at some health and safety issues. But they are only looking at FHA and VA required health and safety issues, which are all visible surface level things. It is not a home inspection. An appraisal will never replace a home inspection. An appraisal is really looking at value of the home. That's what they're concerned with. So a home inspection and an appraisal do not replace each other.
No, again, like a VA or FHA appraisal, they might know, okay, we're missing some handrails. So
some peeling paint, that could be a lead issue.
Dangerous, but they're not going into the attic to see if any of your collar ties have been cut.
Yeah.
They're not checking your sump pump to make sure like it's properly connected and nothing that isn't supposed to go in there isn't going in there. They're not checking for mold. Like they're not checking for all these things, that a home inspector would look for.
Yeah. And I think the other thing with, what makes an offer attractive is it depends on what the seller's needs are.
Yeah.
What is the seller, a seller's needs might be a long closing because they're building a home. So a lower offer, but that gives them more flexibility.
Yeah.
That might be the attractive offer for them, or the opposite, where they're already under contract for something. They need the money from this house to buy it. Yeah. They need the fastest closing that they can get.
Yeah. No, again, it varies. We actually have a listing now. We put it on the market a few months back, but my clients are actually building a house out of state, which is so exciting. So they needed a very delayed closing. And as soon as we hit the market, there was so much interest. But not everybody was willing to wait 6 months to close or 5 months to close, with all the varying interest rates and just all the moving parts. And so there's a trade-off for that. It could be price, it could be whatever, but they got their home under contract and,
for the offer that works best for them.
Made sense for them. Yeah.
Yeah. And that I think is the big thing, and especially moving into the spring market. We talked last week about FHA loans are going to be probably increasingly more popular. And in the last 2 years, that has not been the case. So that might really start to come into play as loan product and loan type, where before a seller might be only seeing 5 offers and they're all one loan type. They might now be seeing a variety of loan types. Yeah. So there's other things that you can do to make your offer strong.
Yes.
And your realtor is really your best partner in this. And that's what I always tell my buyers, is because they'll ask me and I'm like, listen, I will get you committed. That's my job. But the rest of the pieces really is having a realtor who knows what they're doing, knows the market, has good conversations and communication with the listing agents, and can really figure out like, what are the needs and how do we fulfill them?
Yeah. Some of the things that we're doing is having a really strong earnest money deposit, right? Whatever the highest threshold is that you can comfortably put down, just to let that seller know that you're committed to this, right? And to help compensate for the home inspection contingency, we've thrown in like little clauses where if we find something major and decide it's too much for us to digest and we do terminate because we have that ability, that maybe we'll gift the seller some of our funds just to say, hey, thank you for giving us a chance. There's so many creative ways to handle it, again, to still make that offer strong while protecting yourself, because there are so many people that have waived contingencies. I'm starting to read about lawsuits throughout the country, and like it makes me shake, and I'm like, I'm so glad I've never said don't do an inspection, because you can get the home, but then at what cost?
At what cost?
Yeah. And now once you're aware that there's a problem, you go to sell it, you have to disclose it. It's law.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And it's something that, I think the biggest advice for what comes first, the chicken or the egg, is your team, right?
Having a solid team.
It's an attorney to discuss some of these issues with. It's having a realtor who can ask what the needs are. It's having a lender that's already done their due diligence up front, because really the chicken nor the egg come first. No. You kind of need the whole package at once.
Yeah.
So you are prepared and you're ready to purchase the home once you find it. And that's probably the other thing, is once you find it, you have to move quickly.
Yes. Yeah. There's like a team of 6. So like you as a buyer, your lender, your realtor, your home inspector, your insurance agent, your attorney, and we all have to work together. Yeah.
In a timely fashion. Yeah, in a timely fashion. And that's the other thing too, is I think on the timeliness side is, you want to make sure that you are reassuring the sellers quickly that, you are in a good place with the mortgage.
Yeah.
So even on the commitment side, what we're doing is we'll have a mortgage commitment up front, but then the moment the file gets signed, we have like the executed contract. We're still immediately putting that loan right back into underwriting again, ordering appraisal, ordering title. And the goal is to get clear to close as quickly as possible, because you don't want the seller entertaining backup offers or things like that. Well, because they're getting nervous. Where pre-pandemic, a lot of times what clear to close happened in 2 or 3 days before closing.
Yeah. Oh my God. I remember when we first started working together, it's like 21 days to get a mortgage commitment, minimum 30 to 45 days to close. And now I'm like, oh, we can close in 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. It's so fast. It's so fast. But we've done all the work up front. And I always tell borrowers too, sometimes people get a little like, I have to give you all this paperwork. You would rather do it at the beginning. Okay. Because you're going to do it at one point or another. You'd rather do it at the beginning, get it over with, than be doing it while you're trying to pack your house. Maybe you have showings of your own house, trying to arrange cable and insurance and internet to go in the new house. Like, we try to do 90% of the mortgage process before you're ever under contract.
But also, like, it's a process, right? So you might uncover things that they may not even realize. Things that might pop up on their credit where they're like, wait, I took care of that like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that could impact the whole process. So if you do it all up front, then you kind of work through all the little hiccups and speed bumps, and so you can go smooth sailing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we are here and ready for you whenever you are ready. And, I think the other piece of this is to just do your due diligence early.
Yeah.
If you're thinking of buying like in June, you should be starting this process right now. So we can uncover all of the hiccups and the things.
Yeah. But also, if you think you're going to find a house in June just because you're looking in June, that is not the case. Like, we're still seeing very low inventory. Like today in Glastonbury, there's 26 houses for sale in this entire town.
Wow.
So, and they're all at different price points. So depending on the price point that you're at, you may or may not find what you're looking for quickly. So
we just had a little blip in our life right there. I'm trying to reconnect. Well, we thank you. If you ever want to reach out, we'll put our contact information below.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.